and welcome to my little home studio, and I have the pleasure of being joined by author Kathy Arthurson today. Hi Kathy.
Hi Kristy.
And what we're going to do today is talk about her book, Yoga Years, which is just so inspiring. And at the end, once we've heard a little bit about the book and we've had gotten an opportunity to get to know Kathy, if anyone has any questions or comments, we'll have a check and see if there's anything that you'd like to ask her. So thanks so much for being here, Kathy. We connected quite a few years ago. We're both yoga teachers and associated with the International Yoga Teachers Association. And then more recently, I was reading the IYTA's magazine, and there was the review of her book, Yoga Years. And I immediately got in contact with Kathy and ordered a copy of her book because I just found it really inspiring. So Kathy, can you tell us about what inspired you to write Yoga Years?
Yeah. Well, it was an idea that I'd had for a long time about writing about, older yoga teachers who were age 60 plus. But it had been niggling at me all the time, and I'd sort of been ignoring it because I was very busy, like working as a researcher at university. Anyway, it kept niggling and niggling. And then I had a dear friend who got quite sick, and I thought, I've got to get on with this project. And I've actually dedicated in the book to her. It's actually a dedication to my friend. Nice. So, and the reason why I did it was because I've been really inspired all my life by older yoga teachers. When I actually started yoga, which was like over 20 years ago, my teacher, the very beautiful Beck Cowman, who I'm sure some of the audience might know, she was already in her 70s, and I just remember her being up on a little stage and doing all these amazing things, and I went along and I was like stiff as a board, and I thought, I want to be like that when I'm older. I want to be able to do those things and be really active. And all of the older yoga teachers I've met, they've just got this beautiful sort of, inner glow about them, and they just age so well, and they keep moving and flexible. So I thought, I could sort of learn something about aging from them, and that was kind of what started the project, I guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is inspiring, isn't it?
It is very.
And I think it keeps you going in your own practice to know that it's that consistency.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Yeah. And I must mention that my first teacher and ongoing teacher, Louise Wiggins. Oh, beautiful. Hello Louise, if you happen to see this, has been a huge inspiration to me as well. So, you're surrounded by some amazing yoga women, I think, in Australia.
So. Yeah.
And many of those women were featured in your book. So how did you choose or decide who to feature?
Well, that was really hard. And of course, because yoga teachers look so young, I often wasn't sure exactly how old they were.
Yeah.
So I kind of started off just by... because I'm a researcher, is my background, I started off just kind of Googling and, looking at sort of teachers who would actually talk about how old they were. And then I knew some of them, like, Beck Cowman, I remembered from being my teacher. So I had
to have... teaching, is she? Or?
No, she's not teaching, but she still has practice. She's 93 now.
Wow.
So
yeah.
So, but most of them are still teaching her in the book. But anyway, so I sort of got some of them just by contacting them off the internet, and then others just came to me from other yoga teachers. They'd say, when I told them about the project, they'd say, oh, you should interview, so-and-so. But there's so many more out there that I would have loved to have interviewed, because there's lots of amazing women, but these ones just sort of seem to be on my radar. They seem to come to me almost. So. Yeah.
I guess then they're the right ones, don't you?
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So there was some amazing, inspiring stories, and when I read the book, I got my pencil out and I've got lots of little bits highlighted. But there was, there's just one quote that I'd love to hear. Maybe what's behind this.
Yeah.
So it says here, the body is like a musical instrument. You need to play it to keep it in good health. Do you want to tell us a bit about where that came from?
That was a beautiful Tanya. She was a yoga teacher in New Zealand, and she actually played the violin. So that was sort of the inspiration for that quote, because she plays the violin and she understands that's how she sees the body. and she also saw yoga as a way of keeping her hands and arms flexible so that she could keep playing the violin.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
That's the thing, because yoga isn't just for yoga, is it? It's to support everything else you do in life. No. Yeah.
And Tanya was really amazing. I actually, I went to her class, and as I say, she was 95, and her class went for an hour and a half, and it was absolutely beautiful. And at the end of it, she said to me, she said, "Oh, you know, I'm sorry that I have to go into downward dog to get up off the floor." And I said, "What?" You know, I'm going, how many people can, you know, go down on the floor and get up that easily when you're that age? So that was the way that she would do it. She'd go into downward facing dog, walk her feet in, and then stand up. So really gorgeous. Yeah.
And anything else that kind of, I guess, with whether it's Tanya or some of these other women that really stayed with you?
There's lots of funny stories. I mean, you probably saw that there's a lot of humour in there. One of them I found quite hilarious. They talk about food a lot, you know, and about the yoga lifestyle and about being vegetarian.
It's not just the poses.
No. It's a whole lot of different stuff. And Sheila, who teaches in Perth, and she's in her 80s, and she started yoga in her 20s, and she was one of the early people in England with the British Wheel of Yoga. And she told me this story how when she first started doing yoga, she really adopted the lifestyle full on, you know, she wanted it all to be perfect. So she became vegetarian, and her husband had to become vegetarian, and the children had to become vegetarian. So they all, and she said, so, you know, they all had to do it. And she said, I inflicted this lifestyle on them without really thinking about it. And then one day, someone she knew very well said, "Sheila, you know that you always tell me that truth's really important to you." And she said, "Yes." And they said, "Well, we saw your sons down the road eating hamburgers." So she said after that she decided that, you know, it wasn't really fair to make them not eat meat, and they were grown boys, so she sort of changed it for them. So I just thought that was very funny. And you know, it's about, I guess, being flexible, which is also what yoga makes you, flexible in the mind as well as the body.
And when you've got a family, sometimes perfection's just not possible.
Exactly, and like, you know, that might be what you want, but the rest of them don't have to go with that necessarily. So so I thought that was really lovely.
It was so nice to read, I guess, the stories about, you know, real women. These aren't, you know, now we see these, I guess, you know, with the social media culture, pictures of young people, and I guess some of us could say that we feel like some of the essence of yoga isn't there. But with these women, it's like through their stories you see how that essence of yoga has stayed with them. And so you said that you actually got to do these ladies yoga classes?
If I was still teaching, I did all of their class. You know, I did one class before we did the interview, because, you know, if I didn't actually know them, it was a really nice way to connect in with them before we did the interview. So it's sort of a way of doing it. But yes, they're amazing because, you know, they teach what I'd call kind of old style yoga, which is more, you know, it's more the meditative, more breathing exercises, more relaxation. Like one of them said to me that she would always do a long relaxation at the beginning of class, and if people didn't get there, they'd have to wait outside because you weren't allowed to interrupt that. You know, that was like really precious time coming from work where you set up for your yoga practice. And then they would have another relaxation at the end. Well,
sounds great.
Yeah, well, that's what I think, because we all lead stressful lifestyles. But she was saying these days there's so much more of a focus on asana. You know, it's very physically based. And sometimes what we need is not so much that physical, especially as we get older. You know, sometimes we just need more of the relaxation and the breathing, because that's what kind of revitalises you. So I found that really amazing, and I love that old style yoga. Gentle hatha.
Me too. I'm a huge fan. Something that I found that I loved, and you'll see, you know, when you get a copy of the book, some fantastic photos of some of these women through some of the yoga trends through the years. And I love the leotards and fishnets.
There's a beautiful photo in there again of my lovely old teacher, Bet Cowman. I think it was taken in the 60s or 70s, because she used to be on TV, of course, in Adelaide. You know, she had a TV show where she had like a little spot each week.
So when was that?
I think it was in the 70s.
Okay.
I remember it when I was a kid, you know,
Yeah.
I remember she'd be there. Anyway, there's this beautiful picture of her with fishnet stockings, and she's laying there in sort of a pose with her poodle.
What a shot.
So it's yoga,
Yeah.
you know, with her poodle. Not that the poodle was doing it, but it was just a lovely shot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, amazing. And I remember one of them telling me that, you know, they would really dress up for yoga in those days because it was a big outing, because women were often housewives. You know, the era has changed. Often they're at home with children, and yoga was a way they could actually, you know, get a little income. It was quite important, quite empowering for women. But yeah, they would dress up, and she said, you know, they'd have like the big hairstyles and the big earrings and everything, because, you know, people would come and it was like their time outside of the house.
I think like, even if we're not dressing up anymore, I think it's still, like now we call it me time, don't we?
We do.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, different era though. Because those women were mostly housewives, you know, so quite different. Yeah.
But yeah, look, for me, I love reading about yoga, but I particularly love reading about it if it's with stories of real people.
Yeah.
And like you said, there's something inspiring about, you know, reading about older women, because that's who we're going to be.
Yeah.
And we want to still be doing things that we love, and that we can be ourselves, and that it can adapt as we adapt. So thank you so much for, you know, putting all of the time into writing.
Oh no, it was the best project I've ever had. I must say, it was just such a beautiful project.
Yeah.
I just loved every moment of it, you know, and I learnt so much myself about yoga.
So if someone wanted to get a copy of, it's called Yoga Years by Kathy Arthurson, how would they get
well, it's actually going to be released on the 13th of October, so they'll be able to buy it online. Otherwise, if they want a copy in the meantime, they just need to go onto kathyarthursonyoga.com.
Okay.
That's Kathy Arthurson Yoga, one word.com.
Okay.
And they can email me and I can
great.
send them
So
a copy.
I'll in the comments of this put that link there.
Oh, okay, that'd be lovely.
Thanks for your time. Is there anything else you'd like to say or share about the book?
No, not really. I just hope that people enjoy it, because, and I hope that, you know, you feel really inspired by the women, because they certainly inspired me.
Yeah,
So.
and that really comes through in the book. Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you guys for tuning in. And even later on, if you're watching this on replay, feel free to put a comment, and I'll make sure, or a question, I'll make sure that Kathy sees those. And yeah, just keep looking after yourselves, being kind to yourselves and others. I think we just really need that at the moment.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks so much. Namaste.